Miyang henerasyon ayaw magpababa ng pamatayanan ng henerasyon ayaw magpababa ng pamantayan.
Naniniwala kami sa isang malinaw na prinsipyo. Ang public office ay public trust. Ang kapangyarihan ay hiniram sa bayan. Hindi ito pag-aari, minana o pinalulusutan. Tinatanggihan namin ang korupsyon, katahimikan at ganito na talaga. Pinipili namin ang katotohanan kaysa palusot at pananagutan kaysa kasikatan. Magtatanong kami, makikialam kami, mananagot ang may sala kahit sino pa sila. Walang untouchable, walang dahilan, walang lusot.
Sa bawat yugto ng kasaysayan ng bansa, may mga sandaling sumusubok sa ating demokrasya. Ngayon, ang pangalan ng ICC ay muling umalingaw-ngaw. Kasabay nito ang mga bulong-bulungan ng destabilisasyon. Ito ba ay paniningil sa nakaraan o paninira sa kasalukuyan? Sa gitna ng sigalot at haka-haka, may mga boses na handang magsalita. Ito ang The Agenda Forum, kung saan ang katotohanan ay hindi kinakatakutan.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, mga kaibigan namin sa media. I will be your host this morning, JV Bautista. This is my first time to host the agenda. Normally, I appear here in the agenda as a guest. But this morning, hindi ko ho mapalusot itong pagkakataong ito sapagkat ang pag-uusapan natin ay napakagandang topic at ang ating naimbitahan at pinagbigyan tayo ay isa sa pinaka visible ngayon na personalidad na hindi siya humihinto sa kanyang paglaban at sa kanyang advokasya kahit na hindi na siya senador. This morning, our topic will be on the International Criminal Court. We'd like to get some updates about the recently concluded hearings on the confirmation of charges that were conducted at The Hague. Similarly, we are going to tackle the issue of destabilization. And we have a guest who is, I would say, one of the foremost authorities on destabilization because he is not only looking at destabilization from the outside, but he has been in the middle of destabilization from the inside. And once upon a time, we were together. We have a checkered history, as a matter of fact. We were kakosa. We were kakosa in 2007 when the Manila Pen incident took place. And we were together in Krami at the time. That was more than 20 years ago. And 10 years later, when I was in the office of Vice President Binay and he was with the Blue Ribbon Committee, we tangled against each other. And I don't consider him an enemy, maybe a political adversary at that time. But then, of course, fortunes have changed. But Senator Antonio Trillanes has not changed. He has been still at the forefront of the fight against corruption, in the fight to defend human rights, in the fight for accountability of public officials, and against impunity. And recently he has been in the news again, once again, without even being a public official or having any big position. He is one of the major players, I would say, in our politics today. And his views and his actions will shape many of the political developments in our land from now until we get to 2028. So it is my privilege and my honor to host this episode with our guest this morning. They say once a senator, always a senator. So I will not call him former senator, but I will call him Senator Antonio Sani Trillanes. Good morning to you, Senator Sani.
Good morning, Attorney JV. At good morning po sa ating mga media practitioners na nandito po ngayon.
Yes. Senator Sani, you are in the front pages of the newspapers today. No? But before I go into the cause for which you have become a headliner, can we just first go into the matter of the International Criminal Court? Naaalala ko kasi noon, nung kokonti ang nag-uusap tungkol sa International Criminal Court. Kasi winidraw tayo ni President Duterte in 2019, di ba? Winidraw tayo dyan eh. We were a signatory in 2011 of the to the Rome Statute. Pagkatapos winidraw tayo in 2019. Hoping, of course, na the ICC would lose jurisdiction over the crimes against humanity that would be committed by the then regime of Mr. Duterte. Pero napansin namin, kayo po yung isa sa mga pinakamasugid na hindi talaga huminto sa talakay nitong issue na to at pagsigurado na may mangyayari sa ICC. Despite the fact that then President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. already made the statement that the Philippine government is not going to cooperate. But all of these things changed. Pwede po bang i-guide us through kung bakit natin natamo itong sitwasyon na to na ngayon, ang ating dating Pangulo ay nandun na sa The Hague, nagkaroon na ng confirmation hearing nung nakaraang linggo at talagang yung mga biktima maaari nang bigyan ng katarungan.
Okay. Alam naman po natin ang background nito ay nagsimula noong 2017 nung una naming na-file yung communication sa ICC. We were working with the late Attorney Jude Sabio. So, kaso at that time, we needed to make sure na ma-exhaust lahat ng legal remedies dito. Nagkanda kami ng Senate committee hearings, kaso in-stonewall kami ng iba't ibang ahensya. Then we filed the impeachment complaint through then Congressman Gary Alejano. Tapos nung yon ay na-whitewash din, we had nowhere to go. Noong mga panahon na yon, libo-libo yung pinapatay kada buwan. Kaya itong court of last resort as designed yung ICC, doon natin i-final. So from that time on, ako po ay nakikipag-ugnayan sa ICC. So sa lahat, tinutulungan natin sila na magkalap ng testigo, dokumento, kung ano mang ebidensya na magpapalakas ng kaso dito. Ngayon, ang ICC kasi, mataas yung threshold nila ng evidence. Ang being a non-member, ang evidence na kailangan nila bago sila mag-i-issue ng warrant is not probable cause, kundi certainty of conviction pag hindi ka member. So, it took so many years bago eventually na-reach yung threshold na yon na certainty of conviction. So ngayon, na-issue yung warrant kay Duterte. So, but ang tanong, bakit nangyari itong ganito? From no, we will not cooperate to where we are now.
Correct.
Dahil sometime in 2023, nakailang attempt ng ouster, ng destabilization ang kampo ni Duterte laban kay President Marcos. So that's as early as 2023.
Okay.
So dahil doon, eventually kung maalala ninyo yung mga pulburon, di ba? Yung Jonathan Morales, mga hearings, mga ouster plots yun.
Okay.
Mga distab plots yun. Until, yun na nga, may video ng, yung video na yung fake, yung AI video na ginawa.
Oo.
So, lahat itong mga to, nagbago yung pananaw nung administrasyon kay Duterte. Kasi from hindi kami magko-cooperate, therefore, in a way, pinoproteksyonan siya. Bakit naman siya poproteksyonan? Pinapatalsik niya yung gusto niya mag-protect sa kanya. So, nauwi tayo sa, nung na-issue yung warrant, diniretso siya sa dahig. Yun. Kaya, andirito na tayo ngayon. Yung mga sinasite kasi ng mga Duterte supporters na, sinabi ng Marcos administration, hindi magko-cooperate. Dati yun, bago kayo nagtangkang, ilang beses nagtangkang napatalsikin
Yes.
ang Marcos administration. So ngayon, obviously, iba na. Nagkasunugan na ng tulay, nagkasulian na ng kandila. Di ba, si Sara nga, on video, sinabi niya, pupugutan niya ng ulo si... You cannot go back from that. Di ba? And still expect na poproteksyonan yung ano. So, ganun ang history nun.
It would appear, therefore, na yung initial position of the Marcos administration not to cooperate with the ICC appears to have been more of a political position.
Yeah.
But later on, because of the change sa ating political environment na hostile na itong mga Duterte, including the Vice President, and they were starting to engage in destabilization efforts, mas umiral yung legal. Kasi legally, pag may warrant ang ICC and we are part of the international community, obligado tayo na pagbigyan yan. And eventually, you will notice na yung naging position dito ni Presidente Marcos, naglambot na siya. We will need to cooperate. We will need to enforce the warrant if it needs be. No? Parang ganon. Alam mo, Sunny, I recall, nag-meeting tayo noon during the early part of the Marcos administration. You were being offered a position in government. Tapos nagulat ako kasi you turned it down. I will not mention anymore the position, but it's a very high critical position. You turned it down, and it's very difficult to turn down a request of the president, no? But somehow you were able to do it. Ang sabi mo sa kanya, according to you, sir, ako na lang, Mr. President, ako na lang ang tututok sa ICC. Is that really the case? Talaga ikaw ang tumutok doon?
I will not comment on
Okay.
on that So sabihin na lang natin maraming mga nangyari doon kasi alam niyo mga true intermediaries na mga conversations, hindi naman natin talaga malaman if that's what really the president wants. So basta't gano'n na lang yon. Let's leave it at that. Let's just say na hindi namin to binitawan tong ICC yung kaso na ito. Dahil hindi talaga basta-basta ang ICC. Kung dito sa korte sa Pilipinas, kung may connection ka, pwede mong maareglo dyan, doon hindi pwede. Tapos very strict sila. Pagka hindi tayo member, talagang you need a higher threshold ng evidence. Bakit ganun yung kanilang rational? Dahil bakit ganun yung kanilang na policy? Ang rational nila is pag hindi na tayo member, pag nag-issue sila ng warrant, the possibility of getting additional information is assumed to be zero. Kasi kung hostile yung government, yun, hindi na kayo makakakuha ng ebidensya. Kaya kailangan certainty of conviction na antemano bago sila mag-issue ng warrant. So it took a very long time bago mag-gather yun.
Yes, it did.
Daming mga testigo.
Oo. Pero yun naman in fact, maraming humahanga sa inyo doon. Kasi meron kang yung tinatawag in psychology as stick-to-itiveness. Parang pitbull yung pagka nakakagat, hindi bibitaw doon sa nangyayari. And I think right now, I would say that the Filipino people owe you a lot for the things that are happening now in Utrecht na apparently the court of last resort in the ICC is working. Kasi yung ICC naman ito po ay husgado na itinatag under the Rome Statute, the treaty, in order to ensure na walang impunity. Yung mga crimes against humanity, yung mga genocide, yung mga aggression, war crimes, na hindi kayang or ayaw ng national courts na hawakan at panagutin ang mga involved dito, ay maaari mong dalhin sa ICC. That is the function of the ICC. Now, segue na ako dito sa sa ating talagang gustong pag-usapan ngayon. During the confirmation hearings of the ICC, merong startling event that happened. Startling in the sense that yung mga lumanta doon, number one, they represented themselves as ex-Marines. Therefore, military. Siyempre, pagka pumasok na yung military dyan, being a military man yourself, na meron niyang implications of loyalty, destabilization, etc. And they were claiming, mga fantastic claims na ito, na kung paniniwalaan ay talagang masyadong mabigat. And it happened during the time na nagbibista ang ICC nitong confirmation of charges. Now, hindi siya dinala masyado ng ating media, pero eventually may mga reactions ng mga nagdatingan. And one of the most consequential reaction nakita ko ay yung response mo doon sa pangyayari na yon. Pwede bang i-update mo kami kung ano na nagawa mo recently?
So ganito nga po, kahapon nag-file ako ng iba't ibang kaso, kina Baligod, Mike Defensor, yung 18 ex-soldiers, and some other mga social media personalities. Ito ay para bigyan sila ng consequence dun sa ginawa nila. Ngayon, kung anong meron nilang hawak to prove their allegations, ito yung opportunity nila. Pagka kinapo sila dyan, mananagot sila sa batas. Kasi this will go on and on. And by the way, our lawyers are still thinking of another round of filing of cases kasi maraming counts Maraming counts of cyber libel and other offenses ang ginagawa nila. So yan yon. Ang ikinasasama ng loob ko bilang dating sundalo ay itong 18 na ito. Ang postura nila this is a patriotic duty. Unang-una, kung talagang matatapang sila, ba't di sila lumabas nung kailan pinag-uusapan ito? Last
Sa
year.
Senado.
Sa Senado. Ando doon sila, si Gutesa, nagsalita, umatras, nawala. Kung totoo yan sinasabi nyo, humarap kayo doon. Diba? Yun yung forum. Ang tanong, bakit? Pero the more important question is, magkano ba ang dahilan kung bakit kayo nagbago ng isip? Diba? Okay. Ngayon, hindi lang yon. Punta tayo dun sa pagiging sundalo. Ano ang patriotic duty dun sa ginawa nyo? Essentially, ini-expose nyo itong mga ICC investigators na sabi nila, binantayan nila. Sabi ko nga, I'm willing to concede, binantayan nyo. Diba? Bakit nyo ngayon ini-expose yung pangalan, itsura nila, tapos pati yung testigo, nilalagay nila sa kapahamakan? Di ba? Sundalo ka, nawala ka sa serbisyo, naghahanap ka ng trabaho, ito yung trabahong ibinigay sa'yo, magbantay, tapos ngayon, bakit ganyan na ngayon? Kung karumal-dumal yung trabaho na yon, ba't mo kinuha? At bakit hindi ka nagsalita nung panahon na kailangan? Sana bumitaw ka, di ba? Kahit anong angulo mo tignan ito, yung pagiging sundalo ini-invoke nila, anong patriotic duty ang sinasabi nyo by exposing these witnesses, these ICC investigators na naghahanap lang ng hustisya para dun sa mga nangamatay noon. At di ba? Ultimately, sino magbebenepisyo nito? Si Duterte, na maka-China pa. Kumbaga, paano yun? Paano mo pagtahi-tahiin yung makabayan ka na sundalo, tapat ka sa serbisyo, tapos magduduterte ka? Wala ka na. Sira na kagad yung postura mo.
Hindi ka ba nag-aalala, Senator, na in filing cases against them, binibigyan rin natin sila ng plataforma para lalo pa silang makapag-project ng kanilang sarili at kanilang sinasabi?